Hello, viewer. Welcome to Worldview, a program designed to bring you up to speed with trending developments the world over. My name is Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at some of the headlines that we have for you today. Trump's ceasefire statement raises hope in Gaza as Israel presses on with attacks. US halts some missile shipment to Ukraine over low stockpiles. Dalia Lamar says he will be reincarnated. Trust will identify successor. This and more stories coming up today on Worldview. Please. Many thanks for joining us. Our first story today will begin from the White House, where the Republican led U.S. Senate approved President Donald Trump's domestic policy bill following an extensive amendment session on the chamber floor. The vote came after a marathon 24-hour vote-a-rama, during which Democrats proposed numerous amendments to key provisions of the bill. The final tally was 50-50, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. Senate Majority Leader John Thune secured support from several moderate Republicans after extended deliberations. The legislation now proceeds to the House of Representatives, where it is expected to face opposition from Democrats and some Republicans concerned about the bill's projected cost and changes to federal health and nutrition programs. Trump's bill proposes a $4.5 trillion extension of its first-term tax cut, contentiously offset with a $1.2 trillion in saving, merely targeting the Medicare health insurance program as well as federal food aid. In the meantime, Donald Trump and Elon Musk reignited their bitter feud, with the US president threatening to deport a tech tycoon and strip federal funds from his businesses for criticizing Trump's flagship spending bill. The world's richest person was Trump's biggest political donor in the 2024 election and became his inseparable ally during his first month back in the White House as head of the Department of Government Efficiency. But the SpaceX and Tesla boss is now threatening to turn his riches against Trump, mulling a rival political party to challenge Republican lawmakers who vote for Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. Trump, age 78, reacted vengefully on Tuesday, saying that he will have to take a look, he told reporters when asked if he would consider deporting Musk, who has held U.S. citizenship since 2002. In a reply to a post on his X social network account featuring Trump's deportation comment, Marx replied on Tuesday, "So tempting to escalate this. So tempting, but I will refrain for now." Still in the White House, word from US President Donald Trump that Israel has agreed to the condition needed to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza raises hopes today in the enclave, where health officials say at least 20 people have been killed in Israeli attacks. A final proposal will be delivered by the mediators, Qatar and Egypt, to Hamas, Trump said in a post on social media, after what he described as a long and productive meeting between his representative and Israeli officials. Meanwhile, there is growing public pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and end the nearly 2 year long war, a move strongly opposed by hardline members of its right wing ruling coalition. In the meantime, US President Donald Trump has urged Iran backed Hamas militants to agree to what he called a final proposal for a 60-day ceasefire with Israel in Gaza that will be delivered by mediating officials from Qatar and Egypt. In a social media post, Trump said his representative had a long and productive meeting with Israeli officials about Gaza. He did not identify his representatives, but U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President J.D. Vance had been due to meet Ron Demir, a senior advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Still in Gaza, the Hamas-run Interior Ministry in Gaza today ordered the leader of a well-armed Bani clan defied the group's control of the Palestinian enclave to surrender and face trials, accusing him of treason. A ministry statement said the decision was taken by what it called a revelatory court. Yasser Abu Shabah, who does not recognize the authority of Hamas and accuses the militants of hurting the interests of Gaza, has 10 days to surrender, it added. The court urged Palestinians to inform Hamas security officials about the whereabouts of Abu Shabah, who has so far remained beyond their reach in the Rafah area of southern Gaza, held by the Israeli troops. There was no immediate response from his group to the surrender order. In Iran, the US bombing of Iran's key Fordow nuclear site has seriously and heavily damaged the facility, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said in an interview. Araghchi said in an interview broadcast that no one exactly knows what has transpired in Fordow. That being said, what they know so far is that the facility has been seriously and heavily damaged. Meanwhile, the Atomic Energy Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran is currently undertaking evaluation and assessment, the reports of which will be submitted to the government. Reports say that the intercepted Iranian communication downplayed the extent of damage caused by US strikes on Iran's nuclear program, citing 4 people familiar with classified intelligence circulating within the US government. Let's move now to the Russia-Ukraine war scene where the Pentagon has halted some shipment of air defense missiles and other precision munition to Ukraine over concerns that US stockpiles are too low. 2 people familiar with the decision said today. Reports say that the slowing of some weapon shipments promised to Kiev by former President Joe Biden's administration came in recent days, adding that air defense interceptors to help knock down Russian drones and projectiles were among the items delayed. Since US President Donald Trump took office in January, he has softened Washington's position towards Russia, seeking a diplomatic solution to the war in Ukraine and raising doubts about future US military support for Kiev's war effort. In the meantime, Vladimir Putin discussed the Ukrainian war with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, the Kremlin said in a statement, the first phone call between the two since 2022. The statement said Putin argued the ongoing conflict was a direct consequence of policies of Western states which for many years ignored Russia's security interests and are now pursuing a policy of prolonging hostilities. He confirmed the fundamental approaches to a possible peace agreement in Ukraine, the statement added, further stating that it should be comprehensive and long term. And also, the agreement should provide for the elimination of the root causes of Ukraine crisis and be based on new territorial realities. In the meantime, North Korea is set to triple the number of its troops fighting for Russia along the front lines with Ukraine, sending an additional 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers to assist Moscow, according to an intelligence assessment from Ukrainian officials. The troops may arrive in Russia in the coming months, according to the assessment seen by newsmen, adding that 11,000 sent in November will help repel Ukraine incursion into Russian Kursk region. According to Western officials, around 4,000 of those Ukrainian North Korean soldiers were killed or injured in the deployment, yet Pyongyang's cooperation with Moscow has since bloomed. The Ukrainian assessment seen by newsmen said the Russian Ministry of Defense is capable of providing needed equipment, weapons, and ammunition with the aim of further integration to Russian combat units. On environmental matters, two people were found dead by firefighters tackling a blaze in Spain's Catalonia region as Europe's endures scorching temperatures during the ongoing heat wave. In a statement, Catalan authorities said the two bodies were found after firefighters extinguished a fire in the Torrefeta area near the town of Cusco. The European continent is experiencing extremely high temperatures, a phenomenon that the UN Climate Agency said is becoming more frequent due to human induced climate change. For Spain and England, the month of June marked their hottest June since records began. Spain's weather service MNET said last month's average temperature of 23.6 Celsius pulverized records, surpassing the normal average for July and August. We move down to the Asian Pacific region where Bangladesh ousted and self-exiled Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was sentenced to 6 months in prison by the country's International Crimes Tribunal today in a contempt of court case, a top prosecutor said. Hasina has been facing multiple cases since she fled to India after deadly student-led protests in August, but it was the first time the former leader was sentenced in one of them. Meanwhile, Shakal Akkad Bobo, a leader of the Awami League Party, banned student wing Katendra League, was also sentenced to 2 months in prison in the same case. Chief Prosecutor Mohammed Tulu Islam told reporters that the party has been led by Hasina for years. Elsewhere, the elderly Dalai Lama assured his followers today that upon his death he would be reincarnated as the next spiritual leader of the Tibetan Buddhists and spelled out a succession process that sets up a renewed clash with China. The eagerly awaited statement, made days before the frail Nobel Peace Laureate turns 90, put to rest speculation started by the Dalai Lama himself that he may be the last of Tibet's spiritual leader, ending a line that stretched back centuries. Speaking during a week of celebrations in the northern India hill town of Dharamshala to mark his birthday, the Dalai Lama said a non-profit institution he has set up will now have the sole authority to identify his reincarnation, countering China's insistence that it will choose his successor. Meanwhile, Pajim reiterated today that it had to approve the reincarnation and that it had to be done in China through a centuries-old rituals. Still in China, the U.S. Justice Department said that two Chinese nationals have been arrested for espionage and for allegedly seeking to recruit members of the U.S. Navy to serve as intelligence assets. The department also said that Yun Chen, age 38, and Liren Lier, age 39, face charges of acting as agents of the Chinese government and a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison if convicted. According to criminal complaint, Chang and Lier carried out a number of intelligence activities in the United States on behalf of Chinese military Ministry of State Security. We'll go on a short break, but after the break, We'll take a look at Africa, particularly Rwanda, where they exercised command and control over the M23 rebels. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. Let's turn the spotlight to Africa now, where, according to a confidential report by a group of United Nations experts, Rwanda has exercised command and control over M23 rebels during the advance in the eastern Congo, gaining political influence and access to mineral-rich territory. The report obtained by Newsman details training, which the experts say Rwanda has provided to M23 recruits and military equipment. They also said that Rwanda has deployed notably high-tech systems capable of neutralizing air assets to give the rebels a decisive tactical advantage over Congo's Bell-linked army. Diplomats say that the report was submitted to UN Security Council Sanction Committee for Congo in early May and is due to be published shortly. Rwanda has long denied helping M23 and says its forces are acting in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militiamen linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide, including the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda. Elsewhere, a military helicopter from the African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia crashed at the airport in the capital, Mogadishu, and was engulfed in flames, the state-run Sonia news outlet reported. The helicopter from the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia was carrying 8 personnel when it crashed during landing. However, the fire had been contained. It was not immediately clear whether there were casualties, and some spokesman could not be immediately reached for comment. Meanwhile, the military spokesperson said that the military helicopter from the African Union on Wednesday belonged to Uganda's military. Felix Kulayegan said 3 of the helicopter 8 occupants had survived, while a fire that was burning after the crash was being put out before the fate of others could be determined. In a separate development, Kenya West, also known as Ye, has had his Australian visa cancelled after he released Hail Hitler, a song promoting Nazism, the country's Home Affairs Ministry said today. The US rapper released a song that praised the Nazi leader Adolf Hitler across social media and music streaming platforms in May this year. The song came a few months after West made a string of anti-Semitic posts on X, which included comments such as "I love Hitler" and "I am Nazi." Home Affairs Minister Tony Burkett said that while previous offensive comments made by West had not affected its visa status, officials looked at it again after the song was released. Away from that, Thai Prime Minister Petong Shinawatra was suspended by the country's constitutional court on Tuesday over a leaked diplomatic phone call that triggered an ethnic probe, while her father, former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, appeared in court for a royal defamation trial. Pentaton took power less than a year ago and will be suspended while the Constitutional Court investigates whether she breached ministerial ethics during a diplomatic spat with Cambodia. She told reporters at Bangkok Government House that she accepted the ruling. We end the news today with the situation at the court today regarding Sean Diddy Combs' case. The judge in Sean Diddy Combs' federal criminal trial has asked jurors to continue deliberating after they said they were unable to reach a verdict on one of the five counts. The jury sent a note to George saying they had reached a verdict on the counts of sex trafficking and transportation to engaging in prostitution, but they were unable to reach a verdict on the racketeering conspiracy count. In the note to the judge, the journalist wrote, "We have journalists with unpersuasible opinions on both sides." Meanwhile, the jury has been dismissed for today. They'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow to continue deliberation. And with that, wrap up our package for you and Godfrey today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. I am Emma John James, and you've been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now, and thank you for watching.